The Fulani are among the largest ethnic groups in Africa. Their history is rich and diverse because of the many regions they inhabit. With such a large group of people living throughout various kingdoms in Africa, we have to imagine that the formation of a great Fulani empire was inevitable. What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. In northern Nigeria, the Fulani and Hausa peoples have been interacting for quite some time. The Hausa states initially formed walled cities that eventually became important trading centers in the region. These states, such as Zazzau, Katsina, Kano, and others, began to attract other Africans, such as the Fulani. Even though Islam was a predominant religion amongst the Hausa people in the 18th century, many of them still continued to incorporate their own traditional beliefs into Islam, thus influencing many of the Muslim Fulani to consider them as non-Muslims. Over time, many Fulani acquired some ambition to form their own state, and Uthman Dan Fodio became the spiritual leader of this group. In the Hausa city-state of Gobir, Usman became an advisor to the ruler there and tried to convince him to abide by more strict Islamic beliefs. Even though not all Fulani people in Hausa land were on board with Uthman's position, many of them were, and their movement began to make many of the Hausa rulers there very uncomfortable. Interestingly enough, although the Sokoto Jihad was waged primarily by Fulani-led independent armies, it also attracted many of the Hausa peasants who were oppressed by slavery, excessive taxation, governmental corruption, and the imposition of customary rights that gave the elites the right to pick their daughters as well as their beasts of burden. And so, when Uthman spoke of an Islam in which fellow Muslims could not be enslaved and government would be administered with social justice, he included the grievances of many Hausa people. In 1803, Sarkin Gobir Yunfa, the ruler of Gobir, summoned Uthman to the palace in an attempt to assassinate him. This failure to kill Uthman was seen as divine providence, and in 1804, the Fulani Jihad really began. Uthman then became the commander of the faithful. By 1808, most of the Hausa states had been conquered, although the ruling dynasties retreated to the frontiers and built walled cities that remained independent. The more important of these independent cities included Abuja, where the ousted Zaria dynasty fled, Argungu in the north, the new home of the Kebbi rulers, and Maradi in present-day Niger, where the Katsina dynasty retreated. Gobir fell in 1810, and within 10 years, all of the Hausa states succumbed to the sweeping might of the Fulani Jihad. This formulated into what we know today as the Sokoto Caliphate. At its height, this Fulani-driven empire included several Hausa states, as well as the nearby kingdoms. The Caliphate was a loose confederation of emirates that recognized the authority of Uthman, the commander of the faithful. The allegiance sworn by Fulani elites and recognized by the Caliph in the form of sending flags as symbols of recognized powers and rights constituted the elementary framework of the Caliphate's leadership. These families established the Fulani elite of the different emirates or dependent states. Regular correspondence between the Caliph and the emirates enabled a relatively unified policy for most of the century. By the middle of the 19th century, there were 30 emirates, including the capital district of Sokoto, which itself was a large and populous territory. All the important Hausa emirates, including Kano, the wealthiest and most populous, were directly under Sokoto's administration. Adamawa in present-day Cameroon, which was established by Fulani forced to evacuate Borno, was geographically the biggest, stretching far to the south and east of its capital at Yolo. The influence of the Caliphate reached the southern bank of the Niger when Ilorin became part of it in the 1830s. There was the cavalry of Oyo from the Yoruba people based in Ilorin and largely composed of Muslim slaves that initiated this move when it swore allegiance to Sokoto following a series of internal clashes after 1817. Uthman Dan Fodio's jihad created the largest empire in West Africa since the fall of the Songhai in 1591. By the middle of the 19th century, when the Sokoto Caliphate was at its greatest extent, It stretched 1,500 kilometers from Dori in modern Burkina Faso to southern Adamawa in Cameroon. In present-day Nigeria, it covered the Nupe lands, Ilorin in northern Yorubaland, and much of the Benue River Valley. The Jihad and subsequently the states of the Sokoto Caliphate influenced the political and social development of the region significantly. In addition, Uthman Dan Fodio's jihad provided the inspiration for a series of related holy wars in other parts of the Savannah and the Sahel that led to the foundation of Islamic states in Senegal, Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, Chad, the Central African Republic, and Sudan. The immediate states of the Caliphate functioned as one of the most important polities in the 19th century and played a major economic role in agriculture and the labor movement. Interestingly enough, the Sokoto Caliphate really advanced the institution of slavery and its function throughout most of Nigerian society. During its reign, enslaved people played a more important role in economic production. The number of enslaved people increased due to demand, and they were concentrated in agricultural work. Entire settlements of enslaved people called Tungazi were established in Nupe. Ironically, this attracted the attention of European visitors based on its organization and function. Eventually, the British would use this as an excuse to invade Sokoto in the coming years of the 20th century. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.